Good morning, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scribo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And today is the 23rd. Yep, today's the 23rd of March. And we are all sort of sitting around, many of us unable to leave where we live, except for groceries, gas, prescriptions, things like that. Um, so I thought I would take a look at just do a couple of readings perhaps, but I wanted to share something with you that I think we can all get at this time. Yesterday, the 22nd, was my husband's 55th birthday, and Michael is his name. And it's an interesting time because, and numerologically, and this is just a little number sort of magic here, um, Michael vibrates to a 33, which is Christ consciousness, master of compassion. So, any Michaels out there, that's what your name vibrates to. He was born on the 22nd, which is a master number, a master spiritual builder. And he's in his 55th year. And so he has a lot of double numbers. um, Ones that he was born with, and ones also that he has reached. He also has a 55-1 in his numerology chart. So this promises to be a very um, interesting, we'll say, year for Michael. And I gave him a card yesterday when I was out getting prescriptions and milk and looking for toilet paper, which I could not find. Um, I went past the card aisle and picked this up for his birthday, and I think you guys will appreciate this card. And he said I have permission to share it. It says today is the first day of the rest of your life. And then on the inside, I'll cover what I said to him. It says, and if that doesn't work out, tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life. So, are you feeling like this? Many of us are. So, every day that we wake up, every day that our eyes open up and our feet hit the floor, in whatever situation we are in, we have an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. And that is the nature of life. And that actually is the nature of Aries, of which my husband is very much so an Aries. And it's really, there's this energy of continuously reinventing yourself. And we are in an Aries time. And tomorrow we actually have a new moon in Aries. And so perhaps that's what I will do the reading on. Today we have Pluto and Mars making its biennial conjunction. Every 2 years, Mars and Pluto get together, make a conjunction in whatever sign Pluto has been in. And Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And so since that time, every 2 years, when Pluto and Saturn come together in Capricorn, it's the sort of rebirth or the birth of a unconscious desire, Pluto, an evolutionary desire, Pluto, um, comes together with Mars, the planet of conscious desires. And so we are being at this time seated with a desire from soul to experience and express that into the outer world. Now, where Pluto is now is the evolutionary edge, where, and so this is not necessarily a personal story, although we can apply it personally. It's more of a collective story because Pluto in Capricorn right now is the world soul. Okay, and Mars coming into Capricorn is how the world is going to put that energy out there, because Mars is all about forward motion. Mars is all about getting started and doing things. Mars is all about today is the first day of the rest of your life, and so is tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Now, Mars will be having a retrograde period this year that will occur in the fall I think that's when it begins. I'll do a separate video on that so you'll have all the dates and everything. Um, but it is going to be retrograde in Aries. And so Aries from Capricorn to Aries, so it's in Capricorn now, making that conjunction to Pluto. When it gets to Aries, it's going to be in its first quarter square energy. So it's about uh, building foundations for a new relationship with power, with authority, with being responsible for yourself. And we kind of are at this time, we're kind of stuck. And part of that stuckness is self responsibility. We're being asked to stay put. So those in charge are asking us to stay put. And most of us are staying put. Some of us out of fear, and some of us out of a sense of responsibility to the other people that we share our lives with, whether it be an elderly parent or a friend, or you just don't want to be part of the problem. And so we sit here waiting. Um, and we have a golden opportunity at this time, okay, um, to every day apply ourselves to being part of the solution. And what does that mean? What does that mean? And one of the things that I think we're going to become aware of as we move into this new moon in Aries is just that. What do we need to do to become part of the solution? What is it that we need? I am. Aries is the I am energy. What am I am going to do? I am going to be. I am going to uh, seek out. What actions am I going to take? So these are all questions that come to sort of a sense of coming up. Now, back in a couple of weeks ago when we had the new moon in Pisces, um, I was talking about that the new moon in Pisces was uh, it was a beginning, but Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. And so there's this energy of um, the void. Okay, Pisces is the energy to a certain extent of the void. Within the void, there is no delineation. There's no demarcations. There's no signpost to tell you where you are. You are in. You're sort of in the. What's that expression? You're in the drink. You're in the. Goodness gracious. You're in it. There's no real perspective. And I was saying that we had the ability all through February really to especially while Mercury was retrograde to sort of connect with spirit, listen to what spirit our promptings, connecting with those higher vibrational energies and utilizing our co-creative abilities to sort of stir the pot so that whatever was going to come up would come up, especially once we had the Aries new moon, and that's tomorrow, 24th, and I believe the 25th in Australia. So, um, so the new moon in Aries. Aries is the I am. One of the things that sort of being stuck or choosing to stay still at this time, we are we are human beings, right? I mean, that's what we call ourselves. But what we really are at this point in our evolution are human doings, right? What are we doing? People will ask you, what do you do for a living? Not who are you? No, they don't ask that question. They want to know what you're doing. So there's this energy of like constantly doing, constantly doing, constantly doing. And where are you doing from? Are you doing from your heart? Are you doing from your gut? Are you doing from your root chakra? Do you do things to survive? Do you do things out of obligation and that you have to? Or do you do things because you love to do them? This is the question. And we have an opportunity with everybody sort of sitting back and not being able to necessarily do. I'm sure, we're all doing our stuff within our own environment. But we're going to be here for a while. So we have a lot of opportunity to both do and be. And this is a golden opportunity to be. And let's be. Let's be, because we are human beings. And it is important for us to connect not only with the higher vibrational states, our spirituality, but our condition. Where are we here in this moment? What is the reality of the situation? Pluto conjunct um, Mars in Capricorn. What are the structures of our lives? How valid are they? How strong are they? Do they hold you back? Do they oppress you, or do they help to support uh, your your most beautiful vision of yourself and what you can do in this life? I am extraordinarily lucky. I have a roof over my head. I'm surrounded by the people that I love, the animals that I love, um, on the land that I love. Not everybody is that grateful, is that lucky. I'm very grateful for all of that. I don't have much, but what I have is real and true, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for you guys to be willing to listen to what I have to say. I do it because I feel like perhaps my knowledge or my experience will resonate with you, will help you to find something within yourself, or you may have already found it and you're like, oh, I'm not the only one. So this is about reaching out. This is about touching each of you in a very sort of sanitary, safe way. I did wash my hands a number of times today, but I'm on a talking to you, and I don't have to wash my hands to be around you. So this is a blessing of the time that we have. And Saturn is now in Aquarius, and and so that is a little bit of a taste of what our future holds. And at the end of this year, Saturn and Jupiter will be making their 20-year conjunction. Every 20 years they make a conjunction. Last time they did it in 2020. I mean 2000, now 2020. And this time it's in Aquarius. So, and there's a whole cycle with that, which, I can do a video on, or I will do a video on, so you guys can get sort of the background story to that. But Saturn and um, Saturn and Jupiter are what we call social planets. It's how we interact with each other in society. Jupiter is the energy of expansion, how we expand out in society, how we learn from one another, how we interact, how what we believe as we interact with other people in society. And then we have Saturn, which is the restriction, which is the boundary line, the boundary we cannot cross. Um, and so we will have, over the next 20 years, 2020 to 2040, we will have an expansion uh, of an experimentation of that very Aquarian energy, which deals with our ability to live together i- and work toward the common good as one part. How it's group consciousness. There are definitely shadows to all of that as well. It's not just, oh, we're going to live in harmony and stuff, because in order to do that, we have to do the work on ourselves. Just because we're forced to live in community doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to do it well, because everybody has their own stuff. And we have to learn how to work with that stuff, and we have to learn how to work through that stuff. And a lot of that is healing through love and compassion, walking in each other's moccasins, and then the need and the necessity to work together to survive. And all of that is in our future, folks. All of that is in our future. And it is good. It is good because we have reached as far as we can go in the paradigm that we're in. And now it's time to break through to the next realization, the realization that we are all in this together, the realization that we must work together in order to survive. We must have a better relationship with our planet. Um, you know, we have been in quarantine for, uh, well, we're not really, we've sort of stopped for about a week or two now. And it's probably going to go on for a month, we'll say, best case scenario, perhaps. And the air is cleaner. There are the water in Venice, the canals are clearer. The people aren't like bringing up the muck, right? There are swans, there are dolphins, there are fish. Uh, Nature will fill it in. Nature will fill it in, and I think that we need to allow nature to have her way with us. We've certainly had our way with her, and now it's her turn. And together we can live in harmony. We can do that. You know, Uranus right now is in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of the earth. It's the sign of our resources. It's the sign of our values, what's important to us, our sense of self-worth. And what is real. Taurus is an earth sign. It's fixed earth. It's like, what do I have in my hands? What is really of value? It's not a head place. It's not a head place. It's a in the body place. And so we have to become aware of both our planet and our bodies at this time. And for some of us, that's challenging. For some of us, it is a natural state. And being in a good relation, I don't know what I was listening to, but they were talking about the energy of like the physical body and how people, I think it was PBS, there was this woman who does how to strengthen your body. And it's not just the muscles that you have to strengthen, but it's the connective tissue that you have to work with. And the muscles are the action, right? They create the action, whereas the connective tissue holds everything together. And a lot of issues that we have medically have to do with the connective tissue, the inflammation, the sense of restriction. As you get older, you might notice uh, that it's not your joints that necessarily hurt, but it's the fascia around the joints that hurt. And what is that? It's the part of our physical anatomy that holds everything together that is becoming stiff. And when it becomes stiff and less supple, nutrients can't get to the joint, you can't move, you don't feel good, you're in pain. And that holding together, that sense of holding together, is actually the feminine, because because the muscles are very martial. In fact, Mars rules the muscles. The connective tissue is much more of a feminine energy. And so we have to start looking at how everything is connected in our bodies and in our world. Okay, so let's take a look at the new moon in um, Aries, and I'm going to do a reading on it. And I'm going to use the only deck I happen to have here, which is Tower of the Spirit, and I think it's a perfect deck actually to do this reading. So and I'm just going to do a um, a Celtic cross. What do we need to be aware of with this new moon in Aries? The new moon in Aries is, hold on, let me take a look at it. Because I have looked at it and I just want to, and I'm going to do a special video on just the astrology. So just give me a moment here. Okay, so we're back. So I pulled up, you can't see it, I can see it. I pulled up the chart for the new moon in Aries. And the new moon is occurring at 5 degrees of Aries. So wherever 5 degrees of Aries falls in your chart is where we have a new beginning. Um, And it is in a pretty tight conjunction to Chiron in Aries. So Chiron in Aries is the wound of um, the wound associated with um, what you do, the rights to live, the rights to take action. Some people are wounded because they take inappropriate actions or actions that hurt others, while others feel like they don't have the ability to take actions. Either one of those can be wounding to the person. This can be the energy of the toxic masculine, okay? Whether that be, and when I say toxic masculine, I'm not just talking about men. I'm talking about that energy, that masculine energy, that yang force. Toxic when you feel like you have the rights to just go in and take things from other people or hurt people. Um, Not necessarily self defense, which is also an Aries thing, because you are protecting yourself, you're protecting the life force. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. But this sort of like unbridled id energy that goes around and just creates chaos and destruction. And certainly in this country, we can see that in the United States where I live, which you probably could hear from my accent, and of course most of you know me anyway. Um, we can see that that sort of childish id energy within our leader. So we have a front row seat to that. Um, but this new moon is conjunct Chiron, and so Chiron is an energy of the wound and um, the cure of the wound within it. So it's like homeopathic, like heals like the hair of the dog kind of sensibility. So we have that. Now, the ruling planet of Aries is Mars. And so I look to see where Mars is, and Mars is in Capricorn. Yes, just after its conjunction to Pluto. So part of this Pluto Mars conjunction, as Mars moves away from Pluto, after Pluto has seeded an unconscious desire to Mars for Mars to go out and experience, part of that is connected to this new moon. And so part of that sense of connectedness, um, or that part of what is the soul out to do is very much a healing journey as well. It's a healing journey as well. Um, all right, what else do I want to mention about this in particular? Um, so I think that's where I'm going to stop because this is not an astrology reading. This is an actual card reading. But I just wanted to take a look at the chart as it stood. Um, Actually, as I'm shuffling here, I'm looking at the chart for the United States of America. The new moon falls in the second house um, of money, values, resources, um, and the Mars Pluto conjunction is occurring in the 11th house of group orientation. The 11th house is also the Congress, the House and the Senate. All right. And it's an Aquarius ascendant. And Aquarius is the energy of the collective. The energy of the collective. Okay. I'm almost done shuffling. It almost feels right. Aries is all about instincts, and so I'm trying to instinctually feel when this is right, using my intuition and my gut. When is this? What information? Spirit, what do we need to know? New moon in Aries. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. So this popped up. This is the judgment card in this deck. Um, the judgment card is a card of awakening. In this deck, we can see that there are two people, and the energy is rising up into this one person. We have the We have the rainbow here, the rainbow bridge, and then up here we have Gabriel tooting his horn, waking us up. Okay, so this is the rising up. This is the awakening that we are in fact connected. We are in fact something beyond our physical bodies, and this card really talks about waking us up to the reality that we are more than just our physical bodies, that we are co-creative with spirit, and that spirit is very intimate with us. We don't necessarily, ultimately, we lose individuality as we go further and further up to into the levels, but we don't lose our individual stories necessarily. We What happens is we become aware of the bigger story, and in this case, oftentimes the many lifetimes of stories that we have that we can look at from a higher perspective. This is all about waking up to a higher perspective. So that's what's happening with this new moon. That's the moment of this new moon in Aries, the I am. Perhaps the I am is the realization that the I am is actually the we are. Perhaps. Okay, let's see what's crossing that. This is the challenge. Okay, so the challenge is the father of earth. Okay, that this is the the king of pentacles, and as a challenge, um, the king of pentacles understands what it takes to manifest, and the challenge here is with this awareness that we are one, and that we are interconnected, and that we are connected to higher spiritual forces that have a plan. That have a plan. The challenge is, how do we create a world or an environment or manifest on the physical plane those things that spirit is trying to tell us, those things that we are being informed by spirit to bring forth onto the planet. So that's the challenge. It's like, okay, we're all one and I'm connected to my higher consciousness. Now, how do I make that real? How do I make that real on planet Earth? Let's see what's at the root. Death and transformation. Death isn't simply death, although people do die constantly, but death is really change. It's in death we change from matter back to energy, and when we're born we go from energy back to matter, and so on and so forth. And so even those people who have left us or who are in the process of leaving aren't really gone. They've just changed form. And you can bet that there are people or energy forms on the other side of this veil that are working just as hard as we are to to bring forth this evolution, to bring forth this evolution. So for those of you who have lost loved ones, or loved or animals or pets or people that you've admired. I mean, even if you admired an actor who passed away, or a political figure who passed away, a Gandhi or a Mandela or a Mandela. Sorry, goodness gracious, how do you say his name? Mandela. Sorry, Mandela. I know I was saying it wrong. Um, a Kennedy. Whoever whatever you can still access their energy. Um, so at the root of this is transformation and change. It's that realization that we must let go of the old and recreate a new world. This really is about creating a new world. And the more we try to hang on to the old world, the more pain we're going to have. So that's also a something that we need to be aware of. Let's see what's in the past. Yeah, so we have the power card in the past. Those people who held all the power, they held all the resources, the money, and we see there's a little keyhole here. We had an opportunity to look into the keyhole and see how they lived, and saw the reality of their reality, but without the key, we weren't getting in. We weren't getting in, and that's in the past. Let's see what's in the sky. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. The great work, the great work, the 10 of Pentacles. In this deck, the 10 of Pentacles is the great work, and the great work is bringing spirit to earth, manifesting spirit through earth, uh, through our work on the physical plane. You know, I keep talking about co-creation, and part of the energy, which I just realized, which seems somewhat ridiculous that I just realized this, but hey, we're all growing and we're all learning, right? Um, is that as physical beings on the planet, part of the co-creative process is to listen to spirit, and then part of the co-creation is for us to actually do something, take the action to create whatever it is that spirit is asking us to create. It's about letting go of the idea that we are the we are the arbiters of our destiny, and we will do this and we will do that. Well, yeah, okay, that can only take us so far. And what's happened is it's taken us to right here, right now. Now it's time to say, uh-oh, maybe we don't know everything that we need to know. Maybe we do need to look to spirit to help guide us and help us in this process. And I think that's what the great work is there. Spirit is here for us. Connect. Connect. Don't waste this time worrying about the virus, watching too much CNN. I mean, you got to know what's going on. I understand that. But then take that away and connect. We are being given a golden opportunity to just sit with ourselves and see what we need to change within our own lives and be open to the promptings of spirit. I've been talking about that all year and probably longer than that, because last year in 2019, all we could do was listen to spirit. We had no power to change anything but ourselves. Now the power is in our hands, not quite yet, but it's coming to actually change things on the physical plane. And that's the next journey. That's the next journey. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know who's going to be president while we're doing it. But I know that that's what we're doing. That is the prime directive, folks. See the immediate future. So this would be for the month. Oh my God, these cards are so powerful. I want to just cry when I see these cards. And not because I'm scared, because it's filling me with joy and it's filling me with light when I see these cards. This is the Fool card. So what's ahead of us is a whole new world. We are stepping off the cliff. We are stepping into the void. We're in a whole new we're in a whole new place now. And we're taking the leap. Some of us are leaping, some of us are being pushed, but we're all going. We're all going. How this is seen from the outside. And I don't know what could be the outside of our world, but perhaps spirit. We have Brother Wind here. This is an interesting card. This is the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords is often seen as somebody who sort of comes in with all the greatest of intentions, but just creates chaos. And so I think this is a bit of a warning. It's a bit of warning for us. Um, I almost feel like what this card is talking about, um, what those on the outside of this are seeing, and how they see it, and the outside of this is beyond this realm, whether it be extraterrestrials watching us or spirit watching us or whatever it is. The Brother of Wind reminds us that um, either the Brother of Wind comes in or the Knight of Swords comes in with his sword blazing with the best of intentions. But there's this energy of all of the knights are on a quest of some sort, but they don't have the wisdom. So it's very experiential. And so we are experiencing uh, this, we're experiencing fighting something that, first of all, you can't see. Okay, can't see it. But learning from that experience. learning what works and what doesn't work. So, is this going to be a smooth transition? No, but we can work it and we can learn from it as we go if we're willing to learn. And part of the quest of the knights in the deck is to learn through experience. And we are going to be learning through experience. And that's what those on the outside of this, which I would see as spirit, um, or other beings, um, this is what we're learning. And this is what we need to know. Let's look at our domestic situation. Okay. I can't believe these cards. I'm so glad I used this deck. The Chariot is about the soul doing its job, the soul coming into incarnation through a body, through the personality, into the world of duality. You see, we have the two sphinxes, we have the black sphinx and we have the white sphinx, symbolic of the duality. We have the um, I'm going to try to get this as close as I can. This is a great picture. So we have the charioteer. You see, he doesn't have any reins in his hand, because he knows where he's going, and the sphinxes know where he's going, and his face, you can't see his face. All you can see is like a swirl of white. That's because this is the soul. This is the energy of the soul coming through, and the armor is the personality and the physical body, and what we need to sort of armor ourselves as we move into the physical realm. It's just like we're astronauts. It's like astronauts, if they wanted to go into space, they need to have a containment suit. The same as of spirit. If we come into incarnation, the spirit needs a containment suit, and that containment suit is our body. And so we have to learn how to work within our body. And what is our body telling us? You know, when you go up into space and you do a spacewalk. In fact, I just heard that the first all female spacewalk occurred, I think last month or the month before. I think that's symbolic, right? That's very symbolic. Um, but they have sensors, right? There's sensors like, oh, you're losing oxygen, or you're using too much oxygen, or it's too cold, or it's too warm. They have all these sensors that keep the astronauts safe. We have those sensors in our physical body. We just have to learn how to listen and not necessarily depend on the medical establishment to make the decisions for us. We're seeing with this pandemic that the system is being stretched beyond its capability to help us. So what does that require us to be? It requires us to be responsible for our own health. That's part of the reason why we're sitting around, right? Because we don't want to spread it and we don't want to get sick. And this is very basic stuff, but we have to be aware that, we do everything that we do has consequence. And there is, this sense of as you sow, so shall you reap, or there's this sense of cause and effect. And we have to be, we're becoming more and more aware of this, as we sort of slow down and have to slow down in order to take care of what needs to be taken care of, and have the awareness of what needs to be uh, made aware made made aware to us. This is a gift, folks. This is a giant gift. And if we look at it that way, I think we're going to get what we need, so that we can take the leap and that we can sort of create the new world. It's very, very exciting. Hopes and fears. We have the Four of Fire. The Four of Fire is a four of wands. There's a containment in the Four of Fire. There's a sense of containment, but fire really cannot be contained. Okay, so our hope is that this virus is contained. Our fear is that it can't be. Okay, so it's pretty obvious. But spirit is flame is spirit, and this is a gift from spirit on some level, which is what I just said before I picked the card. See the outcome. Okay, we have the Hanged Man again. Okay, remember this was the year of this was the vibration of the year 2019. The Hanged Man is about looking at things from a different perspective. It's about turning yourself upside down. The world is now upside down. It's about staying connected to spirit, um, being connected to cosmic consciousness. And our actions are being held back so that we can connect with cosmic consciousness, that we can connect with spirit, that we can stop being human doings or doers and start being human beings. Be with this. Be with this. We have no choice. We can't move. We have no choice. And this is uh, what really all of last year has given. As we've had practice. So we should be good at this, folks. We should be good at this. All right. Let's see if there's anything underneath here worth speaking of. Okay. So we have underneath. We have the Nine of Wands. And then we have this mystery card. In this deck, there are 79 cards, and this is called the mystery card. So let's talk about this first. The Nine of Swords is the nightmare. The Nine of Swords is anxiety, but it's outpictured. Okay, swords are about how we think, it's our mind working, and this is reminding us that what we think about and what we visualize becomes our reality. So you have the choice. And that's what this card's about. What's going to happen? Um, it has not been determined yet. And why hasn't it been determined yet? Because we're co creative and it's going to be up to us. So you can create a nightmare or you can create an alternative to that. And it very much has to do with your ability to be in the moment, to connect with spirit, to be a human instead of do a human, um, and to really be aware of how your mind works. Your mind is not your friend. Your mind is not your friend at this moment. Your heart is your greatest asset, and your ability to open up to love and compassion is your biggest asset at this time. It's not that the mind is an evil thing or a terrible thing, but the mind, an unbalanced mind or a mind that is sort of, as we see with the Knight of Wind here, or the Knight of Swords, um, what you think you're doing isn't always exactly what's happening. And so we do have to calm the mind. And one way to do that is through meditation. And the Hanged Man, as a vibration or as an outcome, reminds us of that, connects with spirit. So, what I want to say to you guys is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Take this time. And I know that not everybody is in the same position as I'm in, with a roof over my head and full water, and surrounded by people I love and animals that I love in a beautiful place. I realize that not everybody is in that place. Um, but whatever place you're in, you're going to be able to find, if you look within, um, something beautiful and something that's going to be helpful. And if you have nobody to ask to help you, ask spirit to help you, because spirit will move mountains to get you what you need. You just need to ask. All right, guys, it's been a real pleasure. I really enjoyed this reading, and I hope you find this comforting and helpful. And know that I love you all, um, really. And I'll see you again soon. Okay, take care. I will do the astrology stuff on the new moon. I'll do that a little later. All right, guys, love you. Bye. Like and subscribe. I don't know if I need to say that, but I say it. Take care.